Okay, so you ready to go back in time, back before rock and roll was, well, classic?
Always up for a time travel trip, especially when music's involved.
So think about it. What did teenagers listen to before rock? What did they dance to? What made them, I don't know, rebel?
It's kind of hard to imagine, right? The world before Elvis hit the scene.
It's like trying to picture a world without, like, the internet or something, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's exactly why Elvis's story is so fascinating. We're talking about a total cultural upheaval.
It's a wild story, and we're going to do a deep dive into the life and times of the king today.
We've got this great audio excerpt that covers the highlights of Elvis's life.
We'll definitely get into that, but, we'll also dig a little deeper, see what else we can uncover.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot to explore. I mean, just think about it. 1953, Elvis walks into Sun Records in Memphis.
Sun Records.
Right. Pays $4 to record a song.
$4.
$4. And the receptionist, get this, tells him to stick to driving his truck.
Are you kidding me? The voice that would become, like, the voice of rock and roll told he wasn't good enough. That's wild.
Talk about a missed opportunity for Sun Records, right? But, Elvis didn't listen, thank goodness. A year later, July 5th, 1954, he records That's All Right, and it changes, well, everything.
So this song hits the radio, and it's like nothing anyone has ever heard before.
You've got blues, you've got country, there's some gospel in there, all blended together. People are calling up radio stations, totally confused.
Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Is he black? Is he white? No one could figure it out, but they couldn't get enough of it.
And you have to remember, this is during segregation in America. Elvis is mixing black and white musical styles, and it's making people really uncomfortable.
Some people loved it, embraced it, but others saw it as, I don't know, dangerous even.
Right, like a threat to the established order of things.
Exactly.
And fast forward just a couple of years, this guy from Tupelo, Mississippi is the biggest name in music. Sold out shows, he's on TV, teenagers are going crazy for him. It wasn't just the music, though.
Oh no, it was the whole package.
The way Elvis moved on stage, those hips, the look, it was all so rebellious for the time.
Oh yeah, think about that Milton Berle show performance in '56. Talk about a scandal.
Parents were clutching their pearls, but for teenagers, Elvis was like everything. He was the symbol of this new generation.
It's like he gave a voice to all that teenage energy and angst that was bubbling under the surface.
Exactly. He was dangerous and exciting and new.
And that scared a lot of people.
Definitely. For a lot of people, Elvis represented everything they feared about the changing world.
But then, like, boom, Elvis's career takes this unexpected turn. 1958, right at the peak of his fame, he gets drafted into the Army.
And it wasn't like a little break. It was 2 years. 2 years away from music. At that point in his career, I mean, wow. Must have had a huge impact. Plus, while he was serving, he lost his mother.
Yeah, that was devastating for him. You can really hear the change in Elvis, both personally and in his music.
Yeah.
After he comes back, it's different.
Definitely. You hear it in those songs he releases. It's not so much the raw energy of like jailhouse rock anymore. It's more, well, introspective. More emotional depth, like in Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Yeah, for sure. There's that maturity, that introspection in his voice. But I wonder, was this like Elvis naturally evolving as an artist? Or was it, Colonel Tom Parker, his manager?
Parker was a smart guy, a real businessman, always thinking about how to keep Elvis relevant as musical tastes were changing, right? So is this like a calculated career move?
It's probably a bit of both, don't you think? Elvis growing as an artist and Parker trying to keep him in the spotlight. The boom, 1969, the big comeback in Vegas.
Legendary. Almost a decade since he's performed live, steps onto that stage in that white jumpsuit. It was amazing.
Can you imagine the pressure to live up to his legend, but also to prove he could still do it after all that time? Did you know he opened that show with blue suede shoes?
He did. It's like, I'm back. Remember me. I haven't forgotten where I came from. And the audience, they went wild. Classic comeback story, right? Anyone who's ever had to like prove themselves all over again can relate to that.
Oh, absolutely. It's like those moments where you got to dig deep and just show what you're made of.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it before. This is also when things start to get, well, a little darker for Elvis.
Yeah, behind the glitz and glamour of Vegas, there were these personal struggles going on. His health was declining, more and more reliance on medication. He seemed, I don't know, isolated.
It's just tragic. All that talent, all that success. But it seems like it came at a huge cost. And just a few years after that amazing comeback, he dies at 42.
It makes you think, about the price of fame, the pressure of living up to those expectations. But even with all that, the music, it lives on.
And that's what's so powerful, right? Elvis's music still connects with people, even generations later. It's a testament to how impactful his artistry was.
Absolutely. His music transcends time, it crosses boundaries, and it reminds us that even legends are, well, human.
It really makes you think, what makes a legend? Is it, talent or timing? Or maybe some crazy mix of everything?
It's a good question, and I think with Elvis, you really can't separate the man from the music or the music from the time period. It was talent and charisma and a culture that was ready for a shakeup. All of that created this icon.
So we've talked about Elvis's music, how it changed culture, the good times and the, well, not so good times. But why should we still care about Elvis all these years later? What's the takeaway here?
I think his story shows just how powerful music can be. It goes beyond borders, it challenges what people think is normal, it connects with people. I mean, really connects with them in a deep way.
Yeah, Elvis's music still takes you back to another time, another place.
Yeah.
You get that feeling of teenage, freedom and rebellion. Even if you weren't even alive back then, you still get it.
And it reminds us that even our biggest idols are just people. They're not perfect, they mess up, they have problems, just like the rest of us.
That's what makes him so relatable even now. That mix of amazing talent and being, well, just a regular guy with problems.
Totally. And if you want to feel the Elvis magic yourself, put on some of his music, the early rock and roll stuff, the ballads later on. It's all good. You'll see why he's still called the king.
That's the perfect way to wrap up our deep dive into Elvis Presley, the truck driver turned king of rock and roll. We talked about his music, how it impacted culture, the ups and downs of his career, and what his story still means today.
His story is both exciting and a little sad, a real testament to what music can do, and a reminder that even legends are just human in the end.
Thanks for listening to our deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep the music playing.